an even number here. We'll be good.
Whoa. Okay, everyone, we are back. And we are going to go through the City of Laverne fee schedule for this year. This encompasses all of our fees, whether it's for permits, taxes, impacts. Bruce, are you going to walk us through that?
Yes, sir. I can give a brief overview on this. It's a 10-page document that's in front of you. You can see at the top we have 23-24, which is our next fiscal year. Current year now is 22-23, and then we also have last year's in here. These are the fees that are authorized by our municipal code in various parts of the zoning ordinance and subregs. So, and also TCA. If you look on page 2, you'll see that highlighted in green is our park impact fees and our road impact fees. Those we currently assess at a 50% rate of what we are allowed to do according to the study that was completed. The fire impact fees and the police impact fees are already assessed at 100%. So we cannot raise those because they're at the maximum. If you look on page 4, you'll see a whole bunch of fees that are highlighted in blue. These are court fines and fees. The judge has submitted a list of recommendations that he would like to see changed in that. I'm still working on implementing those into the fee schedule, so those are not ready yet at this time. I should have those ready in time for Thursday. But typically, this will come before the board each year with the budget ordinance, and it'll be up to this board to approve the fee schedule for that next fiscal year. And I know typically there's been a lot of discussion about impact fees and whether we should leave them the same or raise them or whatever the case might be. So I'll turn that part back over to you.
Well, first off, let's go to David and talk about parks fees as far as what that would impact for you guys, whether you think that would allow y'all to do more or not. So, David, if you could chime in with us on that.
Anytime we can get a little more revenue into the department, it's always going to be a good thing. We have, we want to expand, but then again, we still have to maintain what we currently have. And that's been a struggle, over the last several years, is trying to keep up with just maintaining the facilities we have now. The walking trails on there, that needs to be done. Mankin Park. Eventually, we're going to have to address the surfacing at Lake Forest Park. We'd replaced some rollers out there on one of the play structures a month or so ago, and just one set of rollers was $3,600. And that required 2 sets. So yeah, anytime we can generate a little more revenue for us, that would be a great thing.
Michael, can you come up? As far as the, can you go through the thoughts as far as if we raise impact fees to for roads, how that's going to impact you guys?
Yes, sir, absolutely. Just like David said, anytime we can generate more revenue, we all benefit. Obviously, we need a lot of improvements throughout the city. Our roads are in, tough condition in certain areas. So the more funds we can generate, the better we'd be able to afford making those improvements down the road. We requested $1.2 million last year, as most of you remember, and we had to come back before the board to do a budget amendment to do additional roads, and there's several out there that still need attention.
Could you all tell a big difference before and after we did raise them and before we raised them?
I would have to ask for finance a little bit of assistance on that, but
We have that broken down.
obviously as materials and labor and everything's increasing, the cost to do business is gonna be right there with it. So I think a study would be well served to see where we're at in line with other municipalities and go from there.
It's gradually going up. This year's been an extremely well year. I'm sure it has to do with some larger businesses. I don't know if it's BJ's or who, but in 1920, we collected $679,000 in road impact fees, and then in 2021, we collected $723,000. 21-22, we collected $1.5 million. So that might have been when BJ's did their impact fees. And then this year, we're forecasting back down to about 726.
Okay.
Well, as you know, I was a big advocate of wanting to raise it 100%. You know, so as far as I'm concerned, the new people and new businesses that are coming in, I think should have to absorb some of the cost instead of the people that's been living here for a long time. So as far as I'm concerned, I think we need to double it.
So Kyle, can you speak from the economic side of it? You're part of the economic team, how that would impact us for recruiting new business?
As far as being a detriment, I don't think it's going to hurt. They are going to complain if you've got a commercial property like a BJ's or something and you double this cost. They're definitely, because that's what you'd be looking at. They're not going to like it, but some of the things to look at on something similar to a BJ's or if you have a grocery store or something like that would be, you know, there is ways to offset some of your impact fees if you do road improvements and stuff like that. So it might be an incentive to, hey, they need a signal, so, you know, they'll put the signal in, and then, of course, the impact fees will be adjusted accordingly. So I don't think it would, you know, hurt businesses coming in. Same way with, I think that's what you was asking, Steve, is have we noticed kind of a drop-off or anything? Because everybody said if we raised them, then they'd quit building or quit pulling permits. Well, they definitely have not done that. So, you know, it's still steady coming in here with, you know, new permit requests all the time. So I don't think we've seen anything negative by what has been raised so far.
And then if push came to shove and the board was interested in it, planning commission can waive if we have a big commercial project like another BJ's or something, although we won't see another BJ's come to the city, but similar type project. Is that correct?
Don't think you'd be able to waive it. I think, like I said, you can do
Or
an
reduce it.
adjustment if they are doing work. So like if a road needs widening and they say, okay, well, I'll widen it for this amount or whatever, and let's say it's a $500,000, then you can kind of adjust their impact fees up to a certain point based on what improvements they did. But you cannot just waive it.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly, but what is our impact fees now as far as comparable to other cities? Are we still way below, about right, or does anybody remember? I don't remember.
Murfreesboro is in the process right now of adopting impact fees. They're still deciding on whether they're going to be $1 a square foot or not. I spoke with Austin Maxwell Friday afternoon, and that's the big thing that they're looking at. But they're looking to, Bruce, correct me if I'm wrong, it was around 7,800 was what I want to say Austin told me, but I know you've also spoken with Craig, the town manager.
Right, and I don't have the exact figures that they're using, but, you know, I know that they were looking at $1 per square foot, I believe, for the road impact fee, but I'm not sure about other areas of what they're looking to charge.
Okay. And then when it comes to at least the single family, multifamily, the residential portion of it, just in all honesty, I know, Vice Mayor, you were talking about, you know, the companies need to pay in, but realistically those will be just like any other impact fee for residential. It'll be just moved on into the cost of it. So the commercial's different, warehouse, industrial, all of that's different, but the actual residential portion just goes into that home fee at the end of the day.
But the city still gets more money.
Yes,
That's what I'm concerned about.
to offset that impact.
I
Yes.
want the city to reap the benefits so we can get better roads and better parks and things like that.
So we're at 50% assessment on parks and road impact fees. I've already heard Vice Mayor say go on up to 100, because that's the maximum we can do for any of our fees. To go anywhere beyond that, we have to get another study done, which takes 6 to 8 months at least, or at least it did last time. Guys, what's everyone else's thoughts on that?
I agree.
I agree.
That's the only two that ain't at 100%, ain't it? Is
Yes.
roads and park. I have no problem, going 100% on them too. As long as it puts us comparable with the other cities. But going 100% on the park and the road, you know, I don't think it's gonna change somebody's mind about coming in here. But, you know, 'cause everything's high, you know, land's high, materials high. In the last 4, 5, 6 years, everything has went up, and it ain't slowed up anything. So, you know, it's a bottom line. If a builder comes in and builds a house, you know, he's just gonna pass the expense on to the buyer, you know. The only complaints I've really been getting in the last few years, if somebody's been living here 20 or 30 years and they got a 3/4 acre lot, because the house was built on septic and they want to split a lot, then time they get all the fees, they said, you know, I've been living here 30 years paying taxes, and now I'm having to pay all this money just to build onto my house or split the lot. But if an average citizen been here 20 or 30 years, if they don't do that, I mean, they're not gonna care unless it affects them personally. You know, if you raise the property tax, the people who still owes on the house, they pay each month, so that's just a few dollars a month. The elderly people that owns a house, now it's gonna hit them, but on the people, if you raise the impact fee, the only complaints you're really gonna get is the people have been here 20 or 30 years, like say wanna add another room or well, say, we need some extra money, so we gonna, do something, split the lot or something, but.
Okay.
Doubling the impact fee on street and, parks, I just don't see, be a game changer.
So Bruce, I think it's clear, go ahead and factor in increasing those up to 100%, and then we can decide if we want to do a study after we see the impact of this.
Okay.
To determine if we need to go further or not for the future. When looking at the fees, and I know Randolph will absolutely shudder with this because he hates changing fees in the new system. But Kyle, have those been thoroughly reviewed? I know we haven't raised them for a number of years, just to make sure that they're in line with what kind of service we have to do to, whether it's inspections or whatnot.
I think everything's in line. Whenever we did pull this out, like on the building permit, it used to be based on valuation. Now it's, you know, per square foot cost. We did get that in line with what other communities were. So I think as of right now, we're somewhat comparable
Okay.
on code stuff or permits.
Did you say our new judge wanted some of these changes? Is that what he said?
Yes.
And what kind of changes is he wanting?
Wanting to see some of them increased.
Some
Typically,
increase?
he's wanting to increase a lot of our fines that are in this list.
And you said that things need to stay in line with our,
No, that was for permits. That's what Kyle was
Okay.
talking about.
All right.
Bruce is saying that he said earlier that he hadn't worked those into the paperwork that you've got in front of you right now. but he will have those for everyone before the meeting or before the workshop on Thursday.
Okay, I got you.
So, but he's been pretty vocal about that, and you can see some repeat offenders, and so that kind of helps to deter that with that cost increase.
So, do we need to wait until, after we're completely done before we start sending in our recommendations to Bruce and stuff for the budget?
Well, this is the last meeting for the budget,
I
so
understand, but until after the board, until BOMA, you know,
I would say if you already have any, go ahead and get those over to Bruce, not to me, but to Bruce.
gotcha.
And then the only thing that's really outstanding at this point is the court fees, which we'll see those, so that should be something minor. So if you've got anything, you can go ahead and get that over to him.
I got you.
I do have another question. This one's for Kyle and Bo. So when it comes to our fees for planning, and probably for Gary too, because he has to review some of this, but how do you feel about our engineering and fees as far as for planning, whether it's rezoning, whether it's, we've got that all in here. So what are your thoughts? Do those need to change?
Hey, Bo, can you come up to the microphone because it's hard to hear y'all back there.
The only permit fee we have is the land disturbance permit fee, and we actually raised it not too long ago. So in terms of that fee at $350, we're okay.
Okay. Bo?
Bo time.
If bald is beautiful, then I'm your guy.
So glad I don't have to worry about that.
I don't know of any planning fees that need to be increased. I feel like they're adequate. I guess it's been 2 years since been 2 years or 1 year since we raised them. Has it been 2 already?
It was about a year. It's whenever we created the list, and that's what I'm saying, is whenever that happened, that's whenever codes, engineering and planning, I know we all adjusted those accordingly to be comparable. And on Deets, I'm pretty sure we adjusted your tap fees and a few other things to be comparable with other locations.
But the city gets money, the house is, the price is determined of how many square foot the house is.
No, it's like on a building permit, it's 30, I'd have to look it up, but it's so much per square foot. So if you have a 2,000 square foot house.
Water permit, and the sewer permit, is it one, for residential, is it still one flat rate?
It goes
Or
by
does it
the,
go by square foot?
no, it goes by the size of your tap. But most taps are 3/4, so it'll go by the 3/4 inch tap fee.
Does anybody know right off the hand, what the city gets for just an average house, all the fees? You got the building permit, you got the water and sewer, all the impact fees.
Not off the top of my head, I wouldn't.
The impact fees, as of the last time we raised them, were at $38.70 for a single-family home. So,
He's wanting the permit fee, like the whole thing altogether. So like an average, if you had a 2,000 square foot house, what would that be?
yeah.
I
So,
don't have that off the top of my head.
so going over to page 5, I've got a question in regards to the fire alarm, fire code violation. So, this is kind of a combination with Chief Hatcher and Chief Beasley. I know we were having a problem with false fire alarms repeatedly, and we raised it, I want to say at the behest of Alderman Calvin Jones. We raised that significantly. Has that been effective in deterring the significant number of false alarms we were having at that point?
In order for me to really answer that, Mayor, I'd have to go back and look at our actual statistics for the year. I couldn't tell you what we're at right now. I know right now we have more 911 issues with Sims Recycling and some of
Batteries.
Shurian because of all those phones.
The batteries.
Yes. So, but to say whether or not the alarms have been sequestered in some way, they're slowing down. I can't say that that's
Okay.
accurate.
Does anyone have any other questions on the fee schedule?
It's not really a question, but, could somebody give me an answer Thursday at the workshop on average, what the average fee is when somebody builds a average house, what the fee is? All the fees, how much the city gets for one single drilling?
How many square foot?
Well, nobody's building small houses now, so I'd say, average would be probably about 3,000 square foot, I'd say.
All right, we'll get that for you.
Bruce, one other question for you, going over to page 7. When it comes to alarm systems, would groups like who go around Vivint, would that categorize as a for needing as an alarm system? Because I know they do security, they do cameras, so I don't know if that fits in there or not.
If it's an alarm system, I would think it would count, but they would have to register with the police department and go through their process. I think it'd be more up to the homeowner than it would be, Vivint or whoever monitors the system.
Okay. It'll be,
Based on the actual permits that are assigned. That's the only way for us to have any kind of an accurate count on lockdown.
so how would the resident know if they're getting, we've got Vivint who does door-to-door during the summer. They're going door-to-door, selling their service. How does the police department, which I know y'all get some calls from like ADT and different groups like that, but other than doing a backwards audit, so to say, on ADT calls, is there a way to ensure that that's being done?
I don't know of a way that we could require it. Now, we would just have to do some sort of, get the word out type thing to tell people, hey, if you've got an alarm system, you have to register it with the city.
Okay. It's going to be a difficult one.
So going back to the alarm, smoke alarms for these businesses are false calls. I remember us talking pretty extensively about that, and I'm assuming Mayor Cole's question was in reference to, do we need to raise those or something? I guess we would need to know how bad it's gotten, to whether or not. I remember Curtis Brinkley told us at one time they were getting out of hand.
Yes, sir, and they have been. There's a difference between a false alarm and then a trip system. If you have call for service because you have smoke there and it becomes a false alarm, and it's not, that's one thing. But the automatic trip system or the malfunctioning alarm would be the problem. I'm with Chief Hatcher. I'm going to have to do a little bit of homework. I'm working on that right now to see exactly what we have. I'm not aware that we've collected any sufficient amount of money, if any, in the last year for alarms at all.
So you give them 3 times or something like that?
I believe that's correct.
When the electricity goes off in a certain area of town, does that make your alarm go off?
It can. Most of the time when it resets, we don't get a lot of false calls off of those. So, but it could happen. There's a lot of faulty
I think
things.
reset, 5 minutes, something like that?
I couldn't tell you what the exact, sure, Mayor, Alderman.
And then,
I guess I just feel like the city needs to collect revenue from all the little bitty things that,
And I would agree, as long as the company's making a valid effort of keeping that at a minimum, those are, not nuisance or malicious for sure. But when you come back 3 times within 24 hours, 48 hours for the same alarm system, that becomes a nuisance. And that should be a point that we start to collect fees for that, because they're not maintaining their system. It's not a malicious event, it's just the company needs to maintain their system.
And I don't think it's ever been defined who and how we collect those fees. Like, do we bill them? Does police collect it? Does fire collect it? Nobody's ever.
I think it would be some type of citation.
Well, several years ago, we used to issue citations for those after the 3rd false alarm. And we stopped doing it for several And so now we're back into the reintroduction of it. So it's still in its infancy stages, if you will, of getting it back up to speed.
Why did we stop?
Couldn't answer that, sir. I don't know. I wasn't in the position that I'm in, so I can't answer that.
David, let me ask you about page 5 with Parks and Recreation. There's a whole section in here for baseball, softball tournaments. But that's the league. Is that not correct?
I don't believe those figures are right. I think it's $50 per field per day. And I think that was changed with the municipal code was changed several years ago. So I think those fees reflect whatever's in the municipal code.
But whenever we have the contract with the league, though, we're not doing the field rental or tournaments. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. If they host a tournament, they are still per their contract, have to pay the city the rental fee for those fields for that weekend.
Okay. So are these figures correct?
I will have to double check. I want to say it's $50 per field per day. I think that was changed years ago to the strikers' request. They requested that, so I think the municipal code was changed also to match that. But I'll go back through their contract in the morning and see exactly what the fee is.
Thank you. Anyone have anything else with the fee schedule?
Well, on the fees for the park, like a fee of $50, that's awful, to me, awful cheap if the city has to come back in and dress the field. I mean,
Well,
that
when
that
they-
wouldn't even cover I don't even cover the $50 don't even cover the mowing.
Those fees are in line with surrounding communities, because when that was proposed to us several years ago, we did check with Smyrna and Murfreesboro to see what they were charging per tournaments for field rentals. And but the only difference there was they charged a separate fee. I believe anything over 10 teams, they may charge an additional $10 per team above that 10.
I guess you can look at it another way. If you have a tournament, people comes in from out of town, we might get a little bit if they stop at a store to get gas or a restaurant to eat, or maybe motel, hotel tax.
Well, and we always looked at it like, yeah, we do staff it. We've gotten back into staffing it under this contract. Under the previous contract, when the strikers had it, we were pretty much hands-off, and we saw how that worked out. So now that we've got a new organization in there, we've taken control over the fields back. So we do staff it. We do prep the fields. Our crews are there on any tournament weekends, league Saturdays. Our thing was we're providing a service here. We're not going to make a whole lot of money off that. We will recoup some, even if it's $50 a field. But that's where the league is making their money, is on those tournament weekends. So that's how they generate their revenue to either in the future lower costs for signups, offer better uniforms. This year they're going into it having to buy equipment since it's a startup league. We donated what we could. There wasn't a whole lot because we had a bunch of water damage during the winter. So they're basically having to start from scratch. So there wasn't a whole lot of equipment that we had left over that they could really use. So yeah, when it was proposed, the $50 a field, and I'm pretty sure that's what it is, I'll double check, but that was in line with Smyrna. So we did contact Smyrna. I think we contacted Mount Juliet, Murfreesboro. So yeah, it wasn't out of line.
I know Murfreesboro got a whole lot bigger system, but they bring in a bunch of people from out of town.
Well, this organization has had 2 tournaments on 4 fields, so they've only used 1 complex each time, and they've generated pretty decent numbers. Miss Carroll, you may know, I don't know if this last tournament had 16 teams maybe.
Yeah, we had 6, no, I think it was 30 teams.
So it's going to be a telltale sign for them in June. They're holding 2 big state tournaments here, baseball, and that always generates a crowd. So our guys had nothing but compliments over the weekend on the facilities. So I think the
It
league
just
had-
seems $50 is awful cheap.
It is, but if it's in line with other communities, then we want to stay kind of based on that. And we also want the organization that's actually administering the league to be successful. That way, we're gonna be there one way or the other, regardless of whether it's $150 a field or 50. So we're still gonna provide that service, but this also makes, in our eyes, gives them an opportunity to be successful in the future. Because we definitely want to grow that league. It has been it's been a dumpster fire for so long, it's finally heading in the right direction.
Plus, it's a minute amount to have our children in our community to be able to play ball. I was up there this weekend. It was absolutely slammed. All 8 fields were hopping. Shouldn't be a moneymaker. It should be a service. So I enjoyed the kids immensely.
I agree, and a couple of our guys had some interaction with some families that were there last year with that same organization. Swore they would never come back to Laverne. The facilities were in such bad shape, field-wise, bathroom-wise. Had nothing but praises this past weekend.
Does anybody keep up with how many Laverne kids play there?
Well, we could probably get the number as far as the league goes, but like on a weekend tournament, they come from all over the state, so we wouldn't be able to track those numbers.
I know I rode through Walmart 3 or 4 times, and I've just looked at the license plates just at Walmart, and each time I go through there, there's a third of the cars in the parking lot has got Davidson County tags.
Well, and
It's
as far as
awesome.
So
We
that's a
love their
good.
tax
So that's a
dollars.
good thing. You know, they come in here to spend money.
Well, hopefully, in the future, we'll get kids from Murfreesboro, Mount Juliet, Smyrna, Antioch to come back to this league, because at one time it was one of the biggest leagues in the mid-state. There's so many families that are blended anymore that Daddy may live in Davidson County and Mom lives here in Laverne, but on the weekend, they're at the ball field in Dad's car, so we're happy to have them regardless.
Any other questions on the fee schedule?
I just want to make one comment. Whenever we go through our year-end audit, the auditors pull different various receipts to make sure that we're charging the right fees. So whatever we do, we need to make sure this is correct and we're consistent in what we're charging.
Absolutely. Okay. Let's hop back over to nonprofits real quick. So we heard presentations from different groups. We've got everything on here as far as what's being requested this year. There's $305,593 being requested. One item I will go ahead and, it's absolutely no surprise on, but to say as far as cutting out is the Rutherford County Paws. That amount of money goes towards their spay and neuter program. It doesn't go to actual staffing and getting us extra service down here. I know that's been a struggle for a number of years, is getting that type of service. So I would absolutely say that should be cut out.
I know in the last few years, I see more of their trucks down here in Laverne than I did like 10 years ago. So, I see the dog catcher. I call him the dog catcher. I see in the last few years, I've seen the truck down in Laverne more than I did last year. But another thing I look at the paws, it's no way in HD double hockey sticks that Laverne could even think about a dog catcher for $30,000.
I don't think anyone's arguing that. It's just that's not what that's going for. From their packet, it's the spay and neuter program.
I read that, and I was a little bit disgruntled about that too, so.
Thoughts?
Straight out.
Agreed. Scratch it.
That's gonna pay for, that money would pay for spay and neuter throughout the county instead of Laverne, so. But I'm a little disappointed in them because last year or year before, I get lost sometimes. They came here and talked to us, and I'd ask them to come back this year, and we would be watching for more trucks and more activity. But they never showed up.
Well, I know I have seen the trucks more in the last year to couple years than I did in the past year. So, you know, I'm sure they're spread thin everywhere, but I do see them more and more.
Yeah, they are spread thin. It's a very tough job. I've got a friend who's does that. He runs one of the vehicles and gets around, but they even had to stop some coverage just simply because they were short-staffed, which is everywhere. Every department's getting that. So, next we've got, as far as, let's look at the Meals on Wheels, the dues, the transportation. That's all Mid-Cumberland. And so, as far as the budget amount for Meals on Wheels, that hasn't changed. The dues have gone up, and that's just, I take it, a periodic due for the organization. I didn't read through their packet, but is that right, Ms. Tanya?
Yeah, I think it was an increase.
And then they were asking for an increase in their transportation from 500 to 1,000.
I done the Meals on Wheels a few years back, and a lot of the people in Laverne, they sure appreciated to get a hot meal. I think it's a good program, and I definitely support it.
Oh, I agree with that, and I want to say, Vice Mayor, you helped get them down at the senior center.
Yes, sir.
And get the,
I'm a 100% pro Meals on Wheels, and they're doing a fabulous job. No questions asked.
And I will concur with Vice Mayor No. I went and helped pick up meals for a couple, 3 months till they got delivery to the senior center, and they're a very professional organization.
So what are your thoughts on transportation? Now, this is not, this item isn't transportation for Meals on Wheels, but transportation for the various enrollees for going to a doctor visit, going to the store, going to different things. What are your thoughts on that?
Is that part of Cumberland?
That's Mid-Cumberland, yes, and that's going to be MCHRA Transportation.
I have personally dealt with them a little bit. I don't know how many seniors they actively work with outside of the senior center. I know that we've got a couple there. I can't help that anything, of course, I'm a little biased, anything that does with seniors and helps seniors, I
know when I done
don't have a problem with it.
the Meals on Wheels, and one day I think I delivered 12 homes, and I don't think none of the 12 people that I delivered to went to the senior citizen center. So, you know, it's and that was just one day.
Okay. Now, we heard presentations tonight from United Way, from the Laverne Band Boosters, from Laverne Wrestling, from Laverne Softball. All of those, I would say, we need to shoot emails over to Bruce so that we don't deliberate, like Bruce just got on to me for. And hey, I take my licks just like everybody else. So, so we need to email Bruce as far as if you want to include them. If you do not, to what level? I'd say copy Miss Tanya and Miss Phyllis. You want copied on there with your part-time?
Tanya's fine.
Give her half the information.
And I would say if you want to make any changes in regards to the Child Advocacy Center, you can put that in there. That's been a staple. I specifically asked them so that they would show up here so that at least our newer members could hear kind of what they do and understand who they are, because I think they're very important for this community. One thing I will bring up, Phyllis, you cannot throw anything at me for this, because I gave y'all fair warning Monday night of our first meeting, but we need to look at and think of funding the IDB. And it was said, I know whenever we had our discussions on the stormwater building, that Alderwoman Hobbs, I think you were wanting as far as a guarantee on what's going to be there for at least one generation of ownership. Well, that's very difficult to do if you don't control the property. If we give the IDB money from fund balance to do that, to purchase property, well, we control that property and we can state exactly what goes on there. And it's a tool Murfreesboro has used with the Avenue, and it's something to consider for this board.
What does
Yeah, I'll throw
what
anything.
does the IDB do with that money?
They would purchase property. And so we've talked about all the work on Murfreesboro Road. That's a key place to look. I mean, you've got multiple parcels to look at.
Are they gonna be changing their fee, or is it gonna be still the same?
Well, that would be, we have their request of how much they're requesting, which is $10,000, but we can, as far as fund that further, cities can donate money to their IDB, and that's what we would do. And I'm bringing it up because that's their line item, is in the nonprofits, so to say. But if we want to control land, we want to see it developed how we would want it to be, this would be the mechanism to do it with. So. Bruce, you got anything else for us before you throw anything?
No, I won't, I don't have anything heavy enough to throw, so we're good.
So we can't deliberate?
No.
I thought we could.
Not at a workshop, no, sir. You can't make decisions at a workshop. That's what I was trying to say. You can discuss, it's information only. You can discuss it, but you can't say, let's do this, let's do that. That's deliberating.
Can't say what we think?
We don't have an attorney here, right, Bruce?
No, I guess I'm the next best thing.
There's liability in that, sir.
I didn't say I was an attorney.
Oh, my God.
But no,
Andrew
you
can play that
can
role.
say what you think, but some of what we were saying was making decisions. Yeah,
Borderline.
let's take this out, let's not take this out. That's making decisions. That's deliberating. So that's what we gotta be careful not to do.
So everything's on the table, and we need to let you know what it is, as well as Ms.
Pretty
Tanya.
much, pretty much.
And quickly.
No later than noon Thursday, right?
You will not have a budget ordinance if you wait till noon Thursday.
And we may not have one anyway. It just depends on what changes we get.
Well, we
As
usually
long
have
as we have one by
don't
the,
have-
as long as we have one by the
first reading
meeting, we
on May.
should be okay.
The first reading Tuesday night?
Yes. Does anyone have any other questions?
Well, I don't have no questions. I think pretty well. I didn't bring my crystal ball, but anybody wants me to tell them how the budget's gonna do, I'll sure tell them. I don't have no questions.
I want to say thank you to Tanya and Phyllis.
You're welcome.
So, thank y'all. I know this is not easy. It's not fun at times. Thank you to Bruce as well, because
a lot.
Lord knows you've been pulling your hair out with this.
Don't have much to pull out, so that's.
Anything else? Okay, meeting adjourned.
That's right, 8 hours.